And welcome everybody to another Bangers and Classics podcast, and that's with me, James Rupper, and him, David Malloy. How you keeping, David?
Oh, hello, James. I'm okay. Had an interesting week, but we'll perhaps talk about that later on.
Yeah.
Because I think the listeners must be desperate to know all about one of the social events of the summer, because we've got the second one just coming up in a little while. The first one was the Bangers and Classics car show. You're the head honcho behind it, the genius, the mastermind.
Well, I wouldn't say about that. I think a lot of other people did all the hard work, all the heavy lifting. A bit like this podcast, David. Someone else.
I was just going to say that.
And I just sort of turn up and sort of bask in the glory. And it was a very, very good event. It was a bit like today where I am. It's very, very sunny. The most irritating thing, obviously, was the number of people said, "Where's David?" And after the 33rd time someone had asked me, I was getting a bit short-tempered. But luckily, you had sent me a cardboard cutout of yourself, the Malloy cut-off, and that did seem to satisfy some of our lower IQ listeners. They were quite happy to talk to your cardboard image, David.
But I was there, James.
Sorry?
I was there. I mean, obviously, you didn't see... Yeah, I was hiding because you let MX-5s in. The MX-5 Owners Club, they were patrolling the place with pitchforks and burning torches and some disgruntled Triumph stag types, and possibly even a Ford cat owner or two without for me. So I had to hide in a hay bale. Quite an interesting experience.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, no Hammer Horror actresses to keep me company, which was even worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did see some of the cars, and I have some comments to make on them.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'd very much like to hear your comments, David.
Well, I noticed there was a green TR7 with a sunroof. And I have it on authority that Triumph fitted those with Webasto sunroofs because it made it easier to bail the water out of them.
Oh, really?
Well, leaky seals, yeah. Apparently so. Obviously, the MX-5, well, who let them in? That was a disgrace.
There was a whole row there, David. It was marvellous.
Well, that's one word of describing, not one I'd use. There was also a vehicle made by one of our software providers, a buggy.
All right, yes.
Yeah, very much so. I also noticed a couple of rather nice MGBs with chrome bumpers, a Roadster and a GT. Yeah. And obviously having to go around in disguise and hide in the hayloft, etc.
Yeah.
I couldn't see who the owner was. Was it Emma Peel by any chance?
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah, there was a nice Capri S as well.
Yeah.
I did like it. And I really liked the Fiat Panda Sisley 4x4.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Fiat nearly called the Panda the Rustica. And of course, it was a semi-rustic setting the show was in, so that would have fitted it very well. Yeah. I thought. No Lotus Elan M100s, which was a disgrace, especially in Norfolk. I'm writing to complain. I don't know who I'm going to be writing to, but I'm writing anyway.
Oh, okay.
So that's it. So there we go. And there was also an Opel Manta, I believe.
Yeah, there was actually quite a nice, smart-looking one, actually.
Yeah, there were some nice, smart-looking cars there, I have to say. Obviously, I couldn't dally just in case I was recognised.
No, of course not.
Chased at Benny Hill fashion by various disgruntled owners clubs. Oh, that's somebody arrived at the door. I'll have to answer that.
You better go and see to that.
Probably MX-5 Owners Club. Blimey, James, that was a close run thing. That was the
was it?
Triumph Stag Owners Club at the door. Fortunately, I've invested wisely and purchased one of the James Rupert design fake beards.
Oh,
and
right.
That threw them off completely.
Oh, fantastic. The one make shows, because after I've seen 25 minis, I don't really want to see another one. I quite like the variety that was on show because there was military vehicles there. And certainly to see a Cord was, a remarkable vehicle to actually see there. Very, very rare. Very, very expensive, and it was just a lovely, great big thing to see.
I've got one of those beside me right now.
Yeah, have you really?
Yeah, God, yeah. Runs from the computer to the power socket,
Crying out loud. And, there was commercial vehicles there, so there was some nice, military stuff, if you're into that, a fair amount of it. And the Bedford Enthusiast Society will be pleased to know that there was even Bedfords there as well, and Jeeps, proper period Jeeps from back and beyond. There was a Reliant there as well, David. I don't know if you spent some time hiding behind that.
Reliant. No, I didn't see that one.
No, you didn't see that. Oh, that's a shame. Because it was right next to the TR7, because I know that's one of your favourites. So I thought you might have been there, but never mind.
Well, TR7 is one of my favourites.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, I don't mind them. No, I'm not. No, I don't mind the TR7. No, I really don't mind them. I prefer the drop head to the coupe, but yeah, I mean, there's been a lot worse cars than the TR7.
No, that's right.
I've got to be honest about that.
Yeah. And there was also some American stuff there as well, and some proper sort of mid-70s custom car stuff as well, which was very nice to see. Something that looked like a console that had been really customed up. I don't know how you can see out of the letterbox screen, but somebody can. But yeah, on the whole, a marvelous. Yeah, and there was a couple of hot rods. But yeah, it was a marvelous day had by all. Everybody was very happy looking at each other's cars. There was no money changed hands. People didn't have to pay to turn up. But pleased to report that just over £4,000 was raised for the village hall. So that was good. That was people selling ice creams and burgers and various stalls. So it worked from that point of view. It was a good day out and a charitable day out. So some good work was done. But I would just wish you'd have come over, David, and shown yourself to me, because it would have been a lot easier. But never mind.
Well, I couldn't. I see. As soon as I turned up, saw the MX-5s and the chaps walking around with the pitchforks. I just had to take cover.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm not even going to go there. No. Inappropriate comments will not be allowed. I'm still reeling from your comment last week.
Really? What one was that?
About the septuagenarian. I can't. I can't repeat that, obviously.
Well, I think you can.
It's
just medical terms. That's all it is.
It's a bit more. There's a bit more to it than that, actually, but not to worry. Yes, we'll move on swiftly from there. Car spots. Well, obviously with the whole Bangers and Classics car show, I've not seen much this week. Well, that's a lie. I saw a couple of things, and I've been so preoccupied with other things, I've completely forgotten them. Apart from a VW Beetle, which I always see, and Audi A2 that I always see, and there was something nice. I just can't remember for life of me what it was.
Yeah,
I was too busy removing a steering wheel to paint.
All right.
That's for the EV. We really need a new couple of windows for the EV.
Yeah.
But getting hold of them is rather difficult. People make promises and say they'll do things and then don't bother the backside. So my advice is, if you ain't going to do something, then don't offer to do it. I don't say you will do it. Money of course would have changed hands, but it won't be now.
No.
There you have it. That's my rant for this week. Well, it's one of my rants for this week. I'm sure we'll get some more. After the break, we're just about to have the Bangers and Classics Awards 2022. It's an eagerly awaited event, and the hall is thronging. Most of the people who are out for my blood, but that's not the point. And we'll go there immediately after this break. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for live and uninterrupted coverage of the Bangers and Classics Awards 2022. And do stay tuned afterwards for some exclusive coverage of the World Hubcap Stealing Championships. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of year. It's the Banger and Classic Awards 2022. And we're going to kick straight off with the first award, which is for the...
I believe it's isn't it the best Leigh Marvin film?
Right, shut up, you lot, shut up. Sorry, just audiences, eh? Right, we're chucking some fake applause and stuff. Anyway, the first award, ladies and gentlemen, is for the best Leigh Marvin film, and James Ruppert will now read out the nominees and tell you why they've been nominated. Mr. Ruppert.
Oh, I didn't know I had to tell you why they've been nominated, but here they are in reverse order. The Dirty Dozen. Which was a very, very good film indeed, and there wasn't a lot of cars in it. There were military vehicles in it, so on the Bangers and Classics show that we've just had, it would be quite appropriate, really, because old Leigh could dodge around the GMC trucks that were there. So the Dirty Dozen is there. After that, Point Blank, I think very notable because Angie Dickinson's in it. And also there are some quite sharp middle 60s saloons, I think you'll find in that, and estates. I don't know which ones they are because I haven't watched the film for a couple of years, but it is actually a superb film. And if it doesn't win, then there's no justice. And finally, of course, it's Paint Your Wagon, one of the greatest films ever made, and with a very good soundtrack, which I think Mr. Leigh Marvin sung the single, which was number one for ages and ages in the middle 60s, I remember. And I do actually have the Paint Your Wagon album at home, which I've got by my side, David. So I'm hoping that Paint Your Wagon is the runner-up, but obviously the gift of this is entirely yours.
Well, it's not mine, James, in the sealed envelope, of course.
How is it? Oh, right.
No, I'm just going to open the envelope now.
No.
And the winner is Paint Your Wagon.
Paint Your Wagon, really?
Yes. And there's a note here that says, this one won just because we wanted it to win. Oh, and Clint Eastwood's in it as well, so there.
Yeah.
So that's it.
That's right. And there are wagons in it. So actually, it's still in keeping with Bangers and Classics theme, isn't it, really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they're all great films, of course. Anyway, that's the first award done.
Yeah.
And James is now going to tell us what the second award is.
Yeah, the second award apparently is the best TV car ad. But we are very specific about that because obviously we're talking about the golden age of TV car ads, which is 1970 to 1990. And it'd be fascinating to know what's made the shortlist there.
Well, the shortlist of three. Shall we? First of all, is the Citroen Visa School of Motoring ad from 1982. It's not really well remembered. It's a sort of Clouseau-esque character driving a Citroen Visa Edgeback for the Deploy School of Motoring.
Yeah.
Very funny. I loved it back in the day. I still love it now. That's the first one. The second one, this was going to polarise people. It's the Renault 25 Yuppie ad from 1986. Yeah. This is the first time we meet David and Joanne and their kid at boarding school with the Renault 25 Turbo. There were three ads. We're dealing with the first one. It's the first one that's been nominated. And then we move on to quite an unusual ad. It's the Honda Jazz Advert from Germany in 1984, which is a bizarre ad to say the least, which includes in its cast of several someone who looks like a young Barry Gibb. I can't even attempt to describe it. Just go to YouTube, type in Honda Jazz Ad Germany 1984 and see for yourselves. Those are the nominees, James. But what we all want to know, who won it? Which one won it?
I don't know. I'll have to find the envelope, I suppose. Okay. I've got something here, and we'll all be very pleased to hear that is actually the Renault 25 Yuppie ad, which is obviously the greatest ad of all time, pretty much.
Oh dear, James, that doesn't seem to have been a popular choice. Still, never mind, I've turned the crowd mics off and arranged for one or two of the better lubricated ones to be thrown into the moat. Obviously, the Citroen Visa School of Motoring ad should have won. I know why you like that Renault 25 ad. I'm just not going to mention it here.
No, it's just Joanne saying hasty. That really is what...
There's a woman in. I might have known it.
Well,
a woman from a certain era. That's it. We've got them started, folks. Right. Anyway, we shall move on now to the next award. Oh, this is a cracker. This is.
Yeah.
This is for the most. Actually, you jealous, James? What is the next award?
Well, apparently it's. I don't think I'm supposed to read it out, but I will.
No, I'm supposed to read it out. Yeah. So yeah. Right. We'll start again. The next award is for the most pointless car of the 1980s. Yeah. I wonder what made the list.
Well, yes. What we've got here in reverse order, obviously, every time. The Morris Ital, a car which I actually purchased. And so I did have one of those. So, yeah, it was fairly pointless, but it didn't break down when I had it. I didn't have it for very long and passed it on to somebody else. But that it was okay. It was pointless. It was pointless from the point of view of Ital Design, who deny all knowledge that they ever designed it. So maybe it is completely pointless. After that, we've got another Italian car. So that's two Italian cars. An Alfa Romeo Arna, which was not only an Italian car, it was also a Japanese car, wasn't it? So that was very, very confusing for everybody. It should have been very reliable and so forth, and I think it was. Again, I used to work with somebody who had one, and they sort of treated it like a tip, basically. But I don't think it broke down. It was just awful. And once you got locked out of it, and you had to climb in through the back sort of hatch and destroyed basically the interior trying to get into the car. It was unbelievable, the mess that was made. So yeah, pretty pointless car. And then finally, an Austin Ambassador. Ambassador, you are spoiling us, indeed. Yeah, it was I suppose, a car that came far too late. Really, it was the car that the Princess should have been, I suppose. So yeah, by the time it was out, it was only around for about a year or so, wasn't it? If that. And it had a hatchback. So there you go. Three very underwhelming candidates there. I don't know whether you can be bothered to open the envelope there, David.
Oh, I think I can. I mean, yes, three excellent candidates. In the case of the Ital, particularly the Ambassador, you have to wonder why. Ital, particularly, why would you do that?
Yeah.
The Ambassador, well, as you say, it was the car that the Princess should have been from the start. And that's why it's in the list, because it was so blooming late. Other companies made Princess hatchbacks years before. Anyway, here's the envelope. I'm just going to open it.
Yeah. Okay.
No, this is, dear sir, we cannot remove the stains from your suit. That's not the right one. Come on at this time. And the winner is the Morris Ital. Wait. So, yes, absolutely. That has to be, yes, it has to be the winner. I don't think we can avoid that.
No.
And anyway, moving on to the fourth award, which Mr. Whipper's going to tell us all about.
Yeah, apparently this is the most missed car accessory. And I'm sure we'll all have some favourites there.
Yes, well, there are lots and lots of potential candidates here. But in our list today, we have the three. There's the 8-track cassette player, which is, of course, the forerunner of the cassette player. And for younger people, that's like a CD that isn't a CD. 8-track took up a great deal of space. The cassettes weighed about a couple of hundredweight each, but the sound quality was pretty good, has to be said. And cars of a certain year, you might still find one with an 8-track in it. If you do, keep it in place. Great things. Secondly, row style wheels. And if you're listening in the USA, we're talking about Magnum 500 wheels. Almost every car you could think of came with row style wheels as an option for a certain period, for a very long time, in fact. And they brightened up the look and enhanced the looks of many a great car. Or many even a grey car, one might say. So yeah, very much a great accessory. And lastly, it's a small accessory, but it is very much missed. It's a Feu Orange air freshener. Now, it's so greatly missed, is it, that you can buy replicas of these without scent for quite a few pound notes on eBay. And I'm not talking a fiver, I'm talking 20, 30 pounds for some of them. It's basically a traffic light. It looks like a traffic light. The amber light is actually a fragrance holder, and you jab it with a pin. And it was very pleasant, and you hung it on your dashboard. It was rather good. I think they're all worthy candidates. But, Mr. Ruppert, it's your duty to tell us who's the winner.
Okay. I'd be as fascinated as you, David, to find out which is the winner and if there's any justification for that. And it is, in fact, the road style wheel. Which
popular winner.
Very well. I think it improved every single car. I can't think of a car that it was ever wasted on, really. So
yes, and do you know that road style stood for Ribéry Owen style?
Yeah,
it was a portmanteau of Ribéry Owen and style. There you have it. I didn't know that till recently, so I thought I'd better share it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the next award, then, well, we're going to go to a very special one.
Yeah,
Mr. Rook is going to read out the nominees for this.
Am I?
You only have a phrase, so yes. This is the Grand Prix de James Ruppert's beard.
All right.
It's a special selection by and for Mr. Ruppert's beard. So the nominees, please, Mr. Ruppert.
Oh, well, as I see here, I'm not involved in the collection of this because obviously it was the beard's job to do this. But first of all, it's High Karate Aftershave, which, if you remember, David, came with actual instructions of how to do karate, basically.
Yeah.
which was all very any teenage boy from the 1970s basically got one of these eventually. And it featured a TV advertisement. If you're not familiar with it, it does feature Valerie Leon, who is a Hammer horror actress of some note. She's still about, and she made a very good film as well, didn't she? Where she was a mummy, and I can't remember what that film was called now, but was it called The Mummy's Curse? Might have been, but that was quite good. You get to see a lot of Valerie in that, and so that's rather excellent. And incredibly, there is a theme emerging here because I just read down the list, and it's Dracula AD 72 or AD 1972, which David likes because obviously there's a fully functioning Triumph Stag in it. So that's very, very good, and which it also features Caroline Munro, who is a rather fine actress of that era. And again, is still with us and working hard. And incredibly, Caroline Munro also is on this list as well. So there you go. So she's got 2/3 chance of winning this, really, hasn't she? I'd be very surprised if she didn't win. So yes, Caroline is there, who spoke to us very nicely earlier this year when we asked her some questions. And also one of her best films, which is Dracula AD 1972. So we'll be fascinated to know what the beard has gone for.
Well, James, I think it's probably true to say that the beard would have gone for all three if it had been allowed to. But opening the envelope, I can tell you it's gone for Dracula AD 1972.
Goodness me.
Well, I'm not surprised, really. You get Christopher Leigh.
Yeah, you do.
A remarkably functional Triumph Stag and Caroline Munro in the same package.
Yeah, that does tick a lot of boxes.
Oh yeah, it ticks so many boxes. That's it. That's a great win. The crowd are going wild in the background.
Yeah.
It must be all that booze you served them earlier.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There we go. So we, well, Mr. Muppets,
we're moving on. Yeah, we're moving on because obviously we're, very, very, very enthusiastic enthusiasts of the EV. In fact, David's got one, and he'll tell you more about it later on in the year. So we have a special category for best EV. So which ones are they, David?
Well, we have the SAL Scamp, which an unlucky 13 were built at Prestwick Airport in the 1960s by Scottish Aviation Limited. One of them appeared on Tomorrow's World. Unfortunately, the concept was underdeveloped. It was taken to Myra for testing, a bit of a disastrous test, and the designer was never given the chance to rectify the faults. He always said, it's a prototype, it's a proof of concept, and we'll sort it out, but he never given the chance. I believe 4 of the 13 still exist. Fiat X123 isn't a sports car. It's an electric car. It appeared, first of all, I think probably with no engine or a petrol engine in 1972. It's remarkable for having a lozenge shape. This is a very curious looking car indeed, and eventually was shown as an electric car in 1976. And like the Scamp, it was designed as a low performance city car, for travelling, for a commuter car, if you like, for travelling from your home to the railway station or the bus stop or whatever. Ideal use for electric cars, really. Short range, very small, and no pollution. So perfect, really. And the third EV in the list is, hang on, this is Eddie Van Halen. Oh, well, that's what it says.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who's the winner? What's the winner, Mr. Ruppert?
Well, yeah. I mean, Eddie Van Halen there, because obviously the Halen is silent, so he does actually count as an EV. I would recommend anyone. There's actually some quite interesting things you can listen to on the YouTube where they isolate his guitar from various tracks, and it's incredibly instructive if you like that sort of thing, because it's top quality noodling. But poor old Eddie has passed away, so we only have his noodlings to listen to, and they're very good. But we're not here to talk about that, really, are we? We're here to find out which is the best EV, and according to the contents of the envelope, it is actually the Scamp because you've championed that, David. It's it's a piece of British motoring history that not a lot of people know about, but it does deserve to be celebrated. So even though the Fiat X123, I think, is a very, very cute design, and again, as appropriate as the Scamp is to electricing about, I think the Scamp just about gets it.
Yes, yeah. Obviously, the thing that I think tipped it in the Scamp's favour was that Raymond Baxter drove it and liked it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, there you go. The Fiat, of course, yes, it's a lovely little car.
Yeah.
And yes, the Scamp never had its day in the sun, but there we have it. And of course, Mr. Van Halen, well, what can we say? Thanks for the music, Eddie.
Yeah.
So we move on now to the worst performance by rust-proofing in a lead role.
Goodness me.
Blimey. And who would the nominees be for that, James?
Well, yeah, it's very odd. And, well, you're an expert on at least one of these cars anyway. I read that, yes, one is the Vignale Samantha. It's worth having a look at that. It was a very expensive car at the time and extremely cute.
Beautiful, I'd say. Yeah.
Really, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you didn't have a pet, you'd probably adopt it as one, because it is like a very, very sort of cute cat or something. So yeah, the Vignale Samantha is fantastic. The Mattress Simca Bargiera, which I think you know a bit about, David. I didn't know they were particularly bad at rusting, but there you go. And one we did know that was bad at rusting, which is the Alfa Romeo Alfa Sud. But as you often say, it was in a way no worse than anything else in the 1970s. It was just, again, a pretty car that met an early end because of the fact that it rusted, but everything rusted in the 1970s.
Indeed.
So yeah, I'd love to know what the winner is.
Well, a couple of comments. First of all, Vignale Samantha was sold in the UK by a chap called Flixos Demetrio, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Very fascinating character, very unusual life story, and possibly a very bizarre ending to his life. But these cars rusted like crazy. The sad thing is they are gorgeous cars. The same can be said, of course, of the Bagheera, which suffered not from body rust, because the body was, of course, a GRP, but the chassis was very poorly protected.
Right.
But it did actually perform a useful function, because Matra learned from this.
Yeah.
And for the next car, the next sports car that is at least, they installed special tanks. The hot dip zinc galvanized the chassis of the Murena, which is the Bagheera's successor, when a very effective process it was too. But unfortunately, the Bagheera, for all its other many attributes, many good attributes, did suffer badly from chassis rust. And the Alfa Sud, well, what can you say? Lovely car, sadly prone to rust. 3 beautiful cars, really, and all tainted by the rust bug, and it's such a shame. What does the envelope say? Well, let's have a listen.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a tie here.
Oh, right.
It's all 3 of them.
Goodness me.
Yeah, it's a joint award.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, there's a little note appended to it.
Yeah.
We like all these cars and we couldn't single one out, so we're just taking them all, picking them all. Fair enough.
Okay.
Yes, so I believe we've got an award that's not going to happen this year, James. Do you want to describe what it was?
Well, you may be referring to the least unreliable BL car award, which has some point. But actually, I would contend that the Mini actually is a very, very good car from that era as well. All the Minis I had throughout dark days of the 70s and even 80s and beyond, they're always pretty good. You could always make them work.
Was it really a BL car, James?
Because no, I suppose you're probably correct.
Before.
All right, then.
So, I mean, the bottom line is we have no nominees for that award.
No, that's right.
Yeah, and the award is therefore cancelled. And
oh, is it?
Regrettably, this year, yes. Well,
yeah.
See what we can do for next year. I believe you're going to tell us what the next award is, James.
It's apparently the most lamented former car magazine.
Oh, right.
So that's a very contentious one, I think.
Let's look at the nominees, shall we? Well, we have 3, of course. First of all was Supercar Classics, which was, I think, a magazine of the early 1990s. Featured some great writing and imagery, and indeed some contributions by our own Mr. Ruppert.
Oh, really?
You can pick up copies of this on eBay or on used magazine shops, of which there are a couple kicking about. Definitely read it and enjoy. There's to be savoured. Sadly, it went the way of all things many years ago, and I don't imagine it's ever going to come back. But then you had the Motor magazine, which again was a weekly magazine, of course. It merged with Autocar, for which we'd taken over by. It was a terrific read with some great writers, and its heyday for me was probably the 1970s, second half of the 70s, with some absolutely brilliant writers and some really good motoring journalism in it, and again much lamented. And the third one, well, it was going to be a magazine known to some people here, and then Mr. Ruppert told me that it's in fact still going.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So we had to kick that one off the list. So obviously whoever nominated it was having a bit of fun there.
Yeah.
So someone's just written Hotspur, which was actually a boys' comic. But you know what? It was a damn good boys' comic, so we'll chuck it in the list anyway.
Yeah.
So there we have it. There's your three nominees: Supercar Classics, Motor, and the Hotspur. And the winner is...
The winner is, David. Well, I'm sort of, I don't know. It's a very, very. It's quite smudged. What it the actual winner, but it does seem to be the Hotspur. So there you go. So even though I'd like Supercar Classics to come back because I might get paid some more money, and the Motor was fantastic, and we do miss that. But actually, a proper boys comic that was wonderful, really, wasn't it?
Indeed. Unfortunately, Alf Tapper Tough of the Track was in the Hotspur. I can't remember. Was it the Victor he was in, I think?
I can't remember.
Yes. Alf Tapper Tough of the Track, brilliant comic strip.
Yeah.
Better than all the sort of modern rubbish you get about superheroes nowadays. Guy lived in the railway arch and did welding. He was a world-class runner. And lived on fish and chips. Yeah, fantastic. Part of the heritage, James. Part of the heritage.
Most likely.
Yes. So we're moving on now.
Yeah.
And we've got the Comfiest seats in a sports car award.
Right.
And I believe there are some nominees here, James.
Yeah, I suppose there are. I'm not overly familiar with all of them. You might be, but the first one actually is the Alpine Gta, and I do remember that being in one of those once. And they were very comfy, actually.
The Patel seats.
Yeah. That's right. And so, yes, that was very good. The Talbot Matra Marina, and obviously that is something that you would know intimately, David. I'm sure you...
I'm not going to admit to that one.
No. And there's a third list here where it says all BL sports cars, because apparently if you break down, you'll be sleeping in them. Well, I mean, I think all the BL sports cars I've been in, I didn't think the seats were terribly comfy, really. But so that's it, really. So all BL sports cars is everything, isn't it, really? I suppose it's midgets and Spitfires and all sorts of things.
Yes, James. Well, a little bit of gloss on these various cars. First one, of course, is the Alpine Gta, better known in this country as the Renault Alpine Gta, or the Renault Gta. A lovely Patel seat, very enveloping, to go with its very nice dashboard and centre console. Then you had the Murena, which had 3 seats abreast, and you could fold down the backrest of the centre seat and rotate the headrest out of the way. Now, with 3 seats abreast, some would say it was great for lovers' lane. I couldn't possibly comment on that, but what I could say is you could drive several hundred miles a day in that car and still feel pretty fresh. And of course, the third one is all BL sports cars. Now, there's a little known document out there that talks about the designers of BL sports cars deliberately making the seats comfortable in the knowledge that the owners would have to spend a lot of time in the car sitting waiting for breakdown trucks to arrive. So there we have it. But let's see what the winner is, James. And the winner is... Oh, it's a shock award to the Talbot Matra Marina. I mean, what a disgrace, yeah. I have nothing to do with that. It's nothing to do with me. I didn't pick that.
No.
No, as if I would.
Yeah.
Yes, but there we have it. Well earned, but high commendation to the Alpine Gta as well.
Yeah.
Lovely seats, and indeed some Renault cars of that period had fantastically comfortable seats.
Yes.
Indeed, I spent many a year in them, actually, I think.
Yeah.
So, what's up for the final award, James?
That's right. I think you're referring to the Bangers and Classics special award for Absent Friends, which our committee thought were worth celebrating.
Yes. Well, we've got some excellent candidates here, I can see. Nominees are yellow headlamp lenses. Now, I don't know if that was through design. You find them in French cars. You find them in French cars typically, and I don't know if they were yellow through design or just because of the smoking habits of the French workforce. Hard to say, but they look great anyway. Pop-up headlamps. Well, forget pop-up chops. These were the real Sex Pistols, or a real McCoy or something like that, but they were fantastic. You can't get them anymore, but all the finest cars had them. Mazda MX-5 had them too, unfortunately, but we're not going to go into that.
Yeah.
And motoring journalism. That's the third category, the third nominee, rather.
Yeah.
And it says here, think of this: John, Bell, Setright, Bennett, McCarthy, Greenslade, Barker, George Bishop, and a list of others. The great days of motoring journalism, when motoring magazines were written by people who could write the telephone book and still make it interesting. And many of them had distinguished careers as drivers as well, as racing drivers.
Yeah.
Fascinating people, great writers, often accompanied by great images as well, and fantastic publications. And regrettably, we won't see their likes again.
Yeah.
I very much doubt it anyway. So, James, do tell us the winner.
And the winner is, David, pop-up headlamps.
Ooh, controversial. I thought motoring journalism would win. Obviously, pop-up headlamps, yes, they are brilliant.
We all miss pop-up headlamps.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You still see them around in the occasional old car.
Yeah.
So, yes, they are much missed. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. The Bangers and Classics Awards 2022. All it leaves us to do is to say thank you very much for listening. Take care of yourselves, and we hope you tune in next time. Cheerio.
Bye, everybody.
Greetings. It is me, the Count here. I could not attend the award ceremony, but I shall instead give you a small sample of my new record. It's a cover version of You're So Vain. Cut! Get that idiot out of here, and do not let him near the dishwasher.